Microsoft has officially lost the console wars, as far as I'm concerned. But before we get to this video, here's the question of the day. Alright, so what am I talking about? Essentially, if you guys haven't already heard, this has been around for a couple of days. Actually, I'm a couple of days late on this. Xbox One is going to be released without the Kinect. They got a price drop. Yes, the Xbox One is now $399. It's going to be $400 minus the Kinect. It's not going to have the Kinect anymore. It's going to come out in June. So next month, a standalone Kinect will be standalone Kinect will be available this fall. So I'm sure it's going to be $100. Just like the original 360 Kinect, they're still selling that, by the way. Kinect remains an important part of our vision, Microsoft has said, but they have definitely removed the Xbox One's Kinect add-on. But, you know, I mean, this thing was supposed to be a part of it. It was supposed to be some sort of mandatory thing. That's what they said. Alright? These Microsoft idiots bundled that and marketed it and advertised it. They even mentioned it, that this was supposed to be together, you know, and even one of the assholes that promoted it, executive Phil Harrison, right? He said last August that Microsoft had absolutely no plans to release an Xbox One without the Kinect. That's a bunch of bullshit right there, you know? That's a bunch of nonsense. Because that was an absolute lie. That was a complete lie. And that's the problem with Microsoft, is that they constantly lie to the fans. And not even that. Like, I wouldn't... They keep going back on their word. That's what really lost them for me. It wasn't last year when they had to place restrictions, or, you know, they had to reverse it because they placed restrictions because Sony was getting a better reaction and they were rubbing it in their faces. It wasn't that. It wasn't even all these other mistakes that they've done, but it just kept piling up. And this is it. Microsoft has lost the console wars for me, man. They're done. They are finished. Microsoft sucks completely. There's nothing worth getting excited over the Xbox One. There's nothing on the Xbone that's worth talking about. Titanfall was short-lived. It was a small, short little, a flash in the pan, as they say. A flash in the pan. Because who's fucking with Titanfall, right? Who gives a shit about Titanfall anymore? Has it garnered massive amount of, like, has it changed the industry? Is it this amazing game that everybody's got to have? I mean, I mentioned that it was a decent pickup. I mentioned that it was worth checking out if you got an Xbox One, but I mean, it's not some sort of killer app. I mean, is it a killer? I don't think so. It's not. You know? And there's nothing on the Xbox One worth getting. They ruined Killer Instinct. There's another big problem I have with this stupid company. They destroyed and turned Killer Instinct into a DLC-ridden, unfinished mess. They ruined what used to be a excellent fighting game series. Well, at least the first one was good. Second one, decent at best, but still, you get all the characters, all the stages, all of that shit. It was a complete game when you bought those games back in the 90s. Of course, Microsoft would be the one to ruin it, like they ruined everything else, like they ruined Conquer, like they ruined everything. All the fucking IPs they bought that were rare, originated, they were basically just destroyed. That's just part of the problem, you know, going back on their word. You know, if they had maintained, you know, if they actually kept up their word, if they kept up with the restrictions, let's say they did not remove the restrictions, the DRM was still there, at least I would have been begrudgingly respectful of their decision to do that. Like, oh, okay, they're holding on to their word, they're still doing it, they still are going through it. Like, holy shit, it's a fucking dumb move, but at least they got the balls to do it. But no, they had to fucking pussy out, they had to be a bunch of fucking backtracking assholes, and they had to reverse the DRM. They had to remove the DRM. Now they're taking away the Kinect. They've taken away the Kinect, and they've dropped the price. So again, more backtracking, because again, Phil Harrison mentioned back last year that there was no plans to release the Xbox One without the Kinect. Was that the plan all along? Was that the ruse? Was that like, oh, we're going to release the $500 system so that we're going to force people to get we're going to convince and force people to get $500 system, spend money on that, waste their $500 on that? And the plan was to eventually release separately and become a drop price, $400, and then they Kinect as a standalone $100, however much it's going to cost. Was that the plan originally? You know, was that it? It wouldn't surprise me that it was just a marketing thing, that let's release both of them together. You gotta pay the $500, get the most money out you can get with that shit, and then separate them later on. You know, 6 or 7 months down the road. You know, however long it's been, so that that increases the fucking demand a little bit, because now it seems like it's cheaper. You know, it's $400 for one system instead of $500. It's like $100 less. Oh shit, it seems so much less now. Like, oh, it seems more affordable. It seemed to give the illusion of affordability, of cheaper price, that it looks cheaper, and it does look cheaper with $399, but still you're getting an inferior system compared to the PS4, a weaker system technically, and all the problems that it's got with it. The Xbox One does have its issues. It's not a stronger system. It's not a more powerful system. Again, you know, we got these problems with the Xbox One. You got these, even Ubisoft, you know, talking about how it's a good thing, and I mean, Ubisoft, this company, of course they'd be happy, you know. It's like, these guys are releasing games every single year now, and they've become an annual Call of Duty-esque franchise, you know, with Assassin's Creed, and you know, Ubisoft likes that shit, and I'm not surprised. There are a bunch of drones, you know, there are a bunch of, they see a lot of money being made with this crap, you know. It's not so much about making money, it's not so much about, you know, now the Microsoft is going to release, be able to sell a lot of consoles. It's not about selling. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to sell more consoles now, you know, they're going to sell more, but going back on their word, you know, they fucking lied to the fans, essentially. I mean, how can you trust Microsoft now at all, man? I mean, I never really trusted them in the first place, but it's a shady-ass company. But I mean, I think we should all realize that Microsoft sucks, you know, right from the jump. Red Ring of Death, all the way from there, all the way from the 90s, when they started dismantling and destroying a lot of smaller companies, you know, their business practices. Just not a trustworthy company, not a respectable company, not a good company, just a shitty, terrible company that preys on strong marketing, that it preys on hapless, brainless morons that buy into their garbage consistently, because I don't know why people like the Xbox bullshit. I've always felt like, with the exception of the original Xbox, great system, very strong system. Everything else they've done, the Xbox 360, a fucking stupid flop, bullshit, terrible, weak system that broke. Xbox One, full of problems, way too pricey. And even now, you know, going back on their word, it's over with Microsoft. It's over with Xbox One. There's really no reason to get an Xbone. There's really nothing on the system, at least with the PS4, has some titles coming in the future. You know, and you can tell that they will be releasing certain things on the PS4. It's gonna come in the future. You know, there's certain things you can see in the horizon that could be really good on the PS4 and looks promising. The Wii U, obviously a much better purchase than this pathetic Xbox One. Get a Wii U instead of the Xbone. I would rather get like 3 Wii U's instead of 1 Xbone. It's not even close. Microsoft lost. And here's the answer to the question of the day.